I'm Susan Gleaton, root cause dietitian with a certification in gastrointestinal health, which just means that when someone comes to me with a digestive health problem, then I try to find the root cause so that as they get better, it doesn't come back again. So in the last video, I told you all about why I make Einkorn sourdough bread, and also that I have a little twist I do to make it less expensive to make, and that was to use rye flour to feed the starter. So when you begin to make sourdough bread, likely you will get a starter from someone. So this is a starter. You'll probably only get maybe a quarter to half a cup so of starter, and then you'll need to feed it for a while before you're ready to make your bread. So as I mentioned yesterday, I feed my starter rye flour, and that's simply because when you start making sourdough bread with Einkorn all the time, you'll find out that it's kind of expensive, and so rye contains a third of the gluten content as wheat, and by letting my starter ferment it longer, I'm getting enough of the gluten out of the rye, or like broken down from the rye, that it does not, I don't have any repercussions from eating this bread. So if you do not have celiac disease, you may find that this little twist will work for you as well. Now, you don't have to use rye. If you would rather just use Einkorn to feed your starter, it is totally fine. And also, what I'm going to be showing you will work for making sourdough wheat bread as well. It's just later on in the process of actually kneading and adding more flour towards the end, there will be a difference between the wheat and Einkorn, but I'll let you know what that difference is. So I've got the starter here. It's about pancake batter consistency, maybe a little bit less. I just stirred it up a little bit. And so I have about a third of a jar full. And so you want to feed your starter proportionately to how much starter you have. So I'm adding, since it's about a third of a jar full, I'll probably put in about 3-ish heaping teaspoons of the rye flour, and I'm going to stir that in. I found out that if I keep my jar flat on the counter versus holding it like this to stir, that the bottom of the jar tends not to break off, and then you have glass everywhere and you're trying to rescue your starter. So that felt about right. So now it's like super stiff right now. And then I'm going to add about half that much filtered water. And so I'm going to come over here and grab the filtered water. And that was, and I'm just stirring it until it's about pancake batter consistency. And so it needs a little bit more water. So notice I'm not measuring anything. I'm just putting in about amounts because that is the way I like to cook. Okay, so it's about like pancake batter. And so I'm just going to scrape off as much as I can from this knife. Let it go there, and then sprinkle a little bit of the flour on top, and that's it. This is ready to go back inside the fridge. So the reason I sprinkled a little bit of flour on top is because if I happen to forget to feed my starter for several days or so, it has a little bit that it can eat. Now, if that does happen and I forget to feed it, it's going to develop like a kind of a darker brown liquidy layer on top. And at first I thought I totally ruined my starter, but I found out, no, it's perfectly normal. It's called the hooch. It even has a name. It's the hooch. And so all you do is you stir that hooch in and feed your sourdough, and probably try to feed it 2 days in a row instead of forgetting about it, and then pretty soon it will be all back to normal again. So in between this video and the next one, I am going to feed my starter a little bit every day, so it'll probably take 2 days, and I'm going to get it all the way to the top, because when I make sourdough bread, I use an entire quart of starter. Now, often I'm feeding the starter over a longer time period, like over the course of a week or so, if I have the luxury of time, but I happen to need some bread pretty soon, so it's going to be every day, so I can make some bread sooner. So that's it for this video, and after I've fed it a couple more times and have a full jar of starter, we will rejoin and I'll show you the next step.